Hello and welcome to the Child Care Business Coach podcast. My name is Evelyn Knight. I am joined with somebody I've been working with for many years, actually, here locally in the state of Nevada. She has been very influential on my child care center's success and growth. I think, Rachel, when we first started working together, I think Zune was a 2-star center. And I think, I think you might have been a coach at the time, but you have watched us grow to where we are today. So before I get too deep into it, Rachel McKinney, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience?
Well, I'm Rachel McKinney, and I've been in the field for a really long time. If I say how long, well, it's like over 25 years. And I've been doing early childhood education in one form or another for, all that time. Worked with centers like Evelyn's to bring up quality with QRIS. I worked with early Head Start. I've done Montessori. I've done Reggio schools. I've been in this field for a long time. So
you are really good at seeing quality. Like you understand what the quality should look like, what it is. Yeah. And I know that's a lot of my experience with you and our growth as we worked together and as you were overseeing the QRIS system, which for those of you who aren't in Nevada, it is our quality rating. That is our STARS program here in Nevada. And Rachel was really instrumental in our own growth and development. We also had one of the most amazing coaches that I will forever honor. Miss June was just amazing and just changed. I think she just changed the trajectory of my career, to be honest. So I think Brandy would say the same thing, but just to have to pay tribute to June on that. So I wanted to talk about a couple. Gosh, it's been a couple months, right? It feels like time is just flying right now. But Rachel and I both presented at a early childhood advisory council little mini conference that we both had an opportunity to speak at. And as I heard Rachel speaking, I knew I was going to work with her one day. I actually went back to Brandy, and it's kind of funny. It's ironic because we've worked together for years, kind of almost parallel and together at the same time in Nevada, me as an owner, you as a part of the public sector who really helps centers understand the importance of quality. But when I heard you speaking that day, I knew I had to get you in my ecosystem here for childcare business professionals, because I realized you have what I call that it factor. You get it. You get where we need to go and where early childhood really needs to go, because we really need to put what is best for the children first. And I saw that passion in you that day. And I knew, I told Brady, like, we're working with her. Like, I'm bringing her in one day. I still plan to. So part of the reason I invited Rachel here is to announce that she is going to be coming in on a consultation basis somewhat as one of our master coaches. So for my members, for those of you who want Rachel's expertise, we're going to dive into that a little bit today. She's going to be available as one of our master coaches. And I could not be more thrilled. Like I said, her work with Zune Around is one of the reasons we went from a 2-star, and we actually scored high enough to be a 5-star program. But until I get that NACE accreditation completed, I don't get that 5th star. So that's why we will be getting that NACE. We're actually almost there. So, but you were so influential on that. So let's talk about just what is it? When I say that you had that it factor, what is that to you?
Oh my gosh. By the way, I'm flattered. That's quite the intro. I'm not really sure. I think a lot of it is experience. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. My first job in childcare, I thought I knew everything because I was 18 and I'd babysat. So I thought, I know how to work with kids. And I remember I was working in an infant room, and I put like a toddler in time out. And my director was like, hey, let
Mhm.
me
Yes.
talk to you a little bit about this. And that kind of went, oh, you mean there's more to this whole field? It's not just babysitting. And so that kind of started my trajectory. But I think experience, definitely the education, and um, just seeing what works. And also, as a classroom teacher, I know that happy hum that children, when you're in a classroom and they're just buzzing along and there's joy and there's laughter, that really, to me, that's everything. That's a successful classroom. And so I guess that would be the it, that maybe I'm looking for when I'm coaching or working with programs. You can have all the materials, you can have all
Yes.
the interest centers, but if there's not joyful curiosity and happy learning happening, then all those toys are for
Are
naught.
useless. Yeah. And for me, a lot of it was just the fact that you really understand that the magic is in allowing the kids to be kids, not stealing that from I feel like we're stealing childhood from children. And that's actually, so I just told you before we started recording that I actually was booked for 2 different TED Talks, which I'm thrilled about. But that's literally what I'm talking about, is that we are stealing childhood from young children and we need to give it back. And
Right.
the importance of just playing. That's it. I know
Right.
you brought up Dr. Peter Gray and his work, but it's understanding that we're so caught up on the academics and pushing these children too fast, too far, too soon. And that's not what they need. And we need to get back to a place where we're putting them first instead of treating them like trophies.
Right, absolutely. And I think you saw me talking about play, and that's probably my most passionate, fired up, get me going on play, because it's true, it's lacking. And, it's like you want this academic push, like you were saying, and it's like you can't jump the line. You have to start with
Mhm.
where children are at, where they're curious, and then that can lead to academics. But yeah, you can't push. I think play, back in the 90s, that we were all about play, we were all about emergent curriculum and really,
Mhm.
taking interest in what the children were doing and going from there. And then, I don't know, there was a big
Yeah.
360, and it's like, no, push, 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 drive, drive, drive. And
Yep.
that probably had to do with No Child Left Behind, where teachers were being, their career was
Standardized
basically on the
testing. Yeah.
line
Yeah.
if their kids didn't score right. So play is definitely taken a back seat, but we're seeing the need because
Yeah.
children are more depressed than ever, they're more anxious than ever, and it's really, they have no idea how to play and how to solve problems and how to interact with each other. And kindergarten teachers, I've worked in pre-K for so long, kindergarten teachers are saying, you know what, we'll get the alphabet, we'll get
Yes.
the mathematics. What we need them coming into our classrooms knowing how to socialize and knowing
Yes.
how to play. So yeah, what you said about childhood is being stripped away. Childhood used to last a long time, like
12 to
11, 12.
14 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And now it's like,
They're
sadly, it's pretty
yeah.
much over when they enter first grade.
Yep.
And that's heartbreaking.
It
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's why you just really resonated with me. And I realized that you get it. It's not about the test scores. It's not about getting them to read before they even get to kindergarten, because it doesn't work. And if anything, it is counterproductive. The United States is currently, oh my goodness, I can't remember. It's 33rd, I think, in the world for education.
Oh, right.
And yeah, when you look at where we rank in the world, honestly, it's pathetic. We
Right.
should be number 1, but we're so far behind. And when you look at the data and things like the preschool to prison pipeline and all the data that's out there, it's pretty obvious that it all comes down to the fact that we have stripped children of play. The top countries in the world, their curriculums are social and emotionally based curriculums that are basically play-based. If you look at
Right.
like Finland, Sweden, those
Oh,
are top nations, right? And it's just the freedom the children have there is just beautiful. And instead, we're so focused on checking the boxes instead of
right.
giving the
And,
children what they need.
and outdoor play, the experience in nature. So many of the other countries, they, and as a former QRS coach, we would get so excited if we saw teachers having children out for 30 minutes. We're like, you need at least 30
Oh,
minutes. And that, if you think about, that's probably
yeah.
in their entire day, these children who come to school at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
and leave at 6 p.m. And we're like, did you give them 30 minutes of outdoor play, in
Right.
nature? And that is kind of sad because, again, that's lacking in childhood, and we need that connection with nature. And I heard a wonderful quote from an indigenous educator who is also a naturalist, and she said, "You need connection before curriculum." And
Oh,
isn't that awesome?
absolutely. Yes.
Monique Grace Smith, I think is her name. I saw her at a Teacher Tom conference, but and it's true. We're not connecting with each other. We're not connecting with nature. We're not connecting with childhood, but yet we're expected to jump right into curriculum. And
Right.
it's a sorry state, but I think there's hope.
I do too.
Because there's people like you and like a lot of our colleagues and peers that are really trying to push back and say, no,
Yes.
we know what's best for children, and it's time you listen.
Yes. Well, and I think a lot of it is the commercialization of preschool and
Mm-hmm.
childcare. Like, so, and that's part of the reason there's so many reasons I launched Childcare Business Professionals, but one of the things I realized is that we've allowed the commercialization to hijack this industry. And it's honestly, if those of you owners who are listening right now or watching us are honest with yourself, you really need to ask yourself, where is the priority? Is it really that you've been pushed by the pressure of parents to perform, and it becomes more about the money than it does about what is best for the children? And I can tell you, I was once an owner. I was a terrified owner, and I felt like I have to do this performance because parents aren't going to come to my center if I don't. I have to have the photocopied sheets. I have to have the flashcards. I have to have, the phonics, the trendy
Right.
curriculums, and all the trendy computer programs that are out there that we stick children in front of, the screen time. And then one day I couldn't do it. And I thought, you know what? This isn't me. If I go bankrupt, I go bankrupt. But
Right.
I wasn't standing behind my conviction.
Right. You're like,
And
this is a facade. It was just for
yes,
appearance. I
I
got to
knew
do
it.
what's
It's
right.
what I actually call them at Zoo, and I call them people, parent pleasers.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally got to the point where I sat down with my team and said, you know what? I'm done. I can't do these parent pleasers anymore. Instead, we need to start educating parents, because parents honestly do want what's best for their children, but they see what's on TV, what's commercialized, this and that, and they just don't know. So
Right.
when we come from a place and start really educating them, it's amazing. And that's when Zuin went from literally failing and facing bankruptcy to now I have a 1,300 child wait list. So it's kind of, I know for a lot of you owners out there, it feels so scary because you think parents aren't going to come if I'm not super academic. But I've learned now that the opposite is true. When you put the children first, the results become so clear that it's really become the springboard to our success.
Well, and I'm seeing, again, as a pre-K coach, so we have these pre-K programs that are, getting them ready for kindergarten,
Mhm.
whatever that is supposed to mean. And there's an idea, I think, that people have that getting them ready for kindergarten means basically having a mini kindergarten for pre-K.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's like, why would we replicate a system that's failing kids right and left
Yes.
anyways? I mean, the K through 12 system, it's not good. I don't know too many people
Exactly.
that have a
Yes.
good experience. And so why would you want to replicate that on these youngest learners who still have joy, who still have, hopes and they're excited about going to school? Why would you do that to them? So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
It's funny, I had a conversation with a mom at Zoom once, and she was a former teacher, and she just was not happy, and it was somebody that Brandy actually referred to me because she's like, "I don't know how to talk to this mom. I don't know what to say." But her son was in pre-K, and she just said, "Well, you're not doing this, and we do this as a kindergarten teacher, and we do this and this and this and this." And I had to stop her and I said, "Wait, stop. You're a former teacher, right?" "Well, yes." "Why
Why did you
former?
quit? Yeah.
Why former?" Secondly, I said, "Do you think that the quality of the United States K through 12 system is good? Let alone Nevada?" I mean, when you think about I love Nevada and we're working really hard, but when
Yeah,
you
we're down
consider,
there.
yeah, we're 33rd nation in the world and at the 50th state in the 33rd nation. And I literally said to her, I said, "Do you really think I'm going to model my program after a school system that is 33rd in the world and then the 50th state?" Like, no, I'm not going to do it. Instead, and I explained to her, I said, "No, instead, I've modeled what I do after what's number one in the world within whatever the legal realm. I still have to follow the licensing. I can't
Right.
follow 100%." But I said, that is why zooming around is the way it is. That's why I don't want it to look anything like kindergarten or the K through 12 system at all.
Right.
I told her I want better for your children. And she just, it's like the light bulb went off and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." And she's like, actually said to me, "I got so burnt out as a teacher. I just felt like I couldn't help the children anymore. So as soon as I became a mom, I quit." And I just like, exactly. Then why would we model our
And when I was a preschool teacher, I laughed every day, like, and
yes.
as an adult. And it's like, that should be the standard. It's like, are you having a joyful experience as a teacher, as an admin, as a child? Those should be number one in the forefront. Are you laughing? Are you like experiencing joy and curious and investigating those
Yes.
things? And as an educator, I think that's what fuels you, and you can't do that when you're constantly going, wait, I got to make this assessment, I got to do that.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
I
And
mean, those things, they have their place.
I
There's
agree. Yes.
absolutely, it's good to know where your children are
Absolutely.
doing natural observations and things like that. But when it's the driving force for
Yes.
everything that you
Yes.
do, for why you wake up in the morning, I don't know any teacher that says,
No.
"Yeah, I'm ready to go assess today."
Well, exactly. It's funny because I have every school year without fail, I get a bunch of Head Start teachers who try to come to work for me. And and every single time that is the reason. Head Start is an excellent program. It is so high quality, but what they end up doing, they bog their teachers down in so much of that data that
Yeah.
the teachers lose their joy. And what happens to the children if the teachers are coming to work dreading the afternoon, right? Because the first part of the morning they are with the children, but then the second half of the day, it's all paperwork, it's all
Hmm.
assessment, it's
Right.
all that they really just start resenting their job. And then that is going to spill over to the children. Right.
Right.
It's going to become contagious. They're not happy with their jobs. They're not fulfilling that time for the children. So yeah, I agree. I mean, that's something in the private sector that we have power for. It's again why I do what I do, because I realized and I think I told you about how I was on so many committees
Yeah.
and I was trying to really get into these different committees throughout the government. And I just realized because of the bureaucracy and the red tape, a lot of these different organizations, their hearts are in the right place. They are trying so hard to do what's best, but the bureaucracy takes so long for
Yeah.
anything to happen that I think after about 4 years, I was on one specific committee. Well, between Brady and I, it was about 4 to 6 years. And I looked at like from beginning to like literally 4 years later, and nothing had been
No,
done.
yeah, right.
Nothing.
The dial was not moved at all. Yeah, no,
Nothing.
it's these grassroots folks that are like, almost anarchist, like, nope, we're going to play. We're going to play. I said earlier, teacher Tom is a big inspiration for me. I don't know if you're
Yes.
familiar with him, but it's very much focused on the child. And I think that's what it's going to take, these grassroots folks that are just pushing back and saying,
Exactly. Yep.
no, we have a different idea. We know what's best. We have the science, the research to show this. We know what's best for children. So
Yep. And I've gone so far as I actually trademarked the phrase ECE revolution because I know it is time for us to do a revolution. And let me see if I have the book here. But at my summit last month or 2 months ago, time is going by so fast. I interviewed an amazing woman, Liz Huntley, and I don't have the book in here. I think it's in my house. But Liz is, if for any of you listening, get the book. It's More Than a Bird by Liz Huntley. She is really the poster child for why we need to focus on the children and just show up with love, nurturing, and allow them to be children. She tells her story in the book, and I actually interviewed her a couple of weeks ago. It's probably been about 8 weeks at this point. But she told a story about how ECE literally changed the trajectory of her life. She was brought up in just literally the slums. Her dad was in prison for as a drug dealer. Her mom committed suicide. She was living with her grandma, who was in absolute poverty. She was getting molested daily at 4 years old.
wow.
And she went into her child care program, and she said, the things that she described were just literally things that our teachers do every day. She described how it changed her life and literally the trajectory of her entire life because somebody was there every morning to say, "Good morning, how are you?" Because somebody was actually there to have conversations with her, who played with her. And she even talks about how they weren't saying, like, it wasn't the ABCs and it wasn't like all this shoving the information down her throat. It's the love and the nurturing and the time that she was allowed to just be a child that
That
literally,
connection.
yes.
The connection for
But
sure.
the book actually illustrates how it all worked. Like, she actually says, this is what they did. And because of that, this is how it affected me in elementary school. This is how it affected me in middle school. She actually ended up graduating, I can't remember, with some kind of honors, and now is a lawyer in Georgia who advocates for ECE
Right
because
on.
it had such an impact on her life. And she attributes all of it to her ECE teachers. And when I heard her story, I realized, wow, that's just the job my teachers do every day that literally changed this woman's life.
Well,
And
you're lucky that you have those teachers that have that resiliency impact. Where,
yes,
not all ECE teachers are that way. And
right.
so I think more training, more education, more
Yes.
coaching for sure
Mhm.
can help them become those kind of teachers.
And leaders out there, I love what you just said, Rachel. I really, really want my leaders to listen to what Rachel just said. Your teachers need you. They are not going to do this on their own. You can't expect them just to become this. This is training, it is coaching. It's really helping to come alongside them to grow. And if that's something you need help with, that's what we're here for. That is what Childcare Business Professionals does. We can come alongside you, your teachers. I help train you to become that leader that can give this to your teachers. And people like Rachel, I have Prana Richards, we've got Rachel and Shaylin, who's probably watching and listening. We have people who can come alongside your centers and help your teachers learn these things so they can be these people who help children like Liz grow up to break generational chains. We have that kind of power in early childhood education, and we need to own it and step into it. And I honestly, for you owners and directors out there, this is your responsibility. We work with children. It is our responsibility to do this for them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it kind of goes full circle back to my first job when I put the toddler in timeout, thinking that that was good at, learning experience. And I had a great mentor who could have just, pushed me on and said, don't do that and whatever. But she really worked with me about the whys and the, developmentally appropriate. And so that changed my path for sure. Just having somebody coach me and,
Yes.
because there is some natural aspect to it, being an educator, but definitely you've got to have somebody championing you or
Yeah.
championing you. Yeah.
And it takes patience for as a leader. We have to understand. I mean, I think you just gave the perfect example. These teachers don't know. Like for me, it is my policy timeout is not allowed because
Right.
it doesn't work. And for those of you who still use it in your centers, I want to ask you, what have you taught the children? You're actually accomplishing nothing, right? But if you want a behavior to truly stop, you have to replace the behavior with something more positive. But how are your teachers supposed to know? How are they going to do that without the skills, right? That is something as leaders that we need to train. And if you don't know, that's okay too. You just need the training as well. So, any last thoughts, Rachel?
No, just thanks for letting me talk about play and curiosity and my passion and, having this opportunity. I
Yes,
appreciate it.
I'm so excited that you're going to be on board. And then just one last announcement for everybody. I finished the planner. I've actually created a planner for early childhood leaders. And I'm super excited, just trying to help all of you out there just have less stress, because one of my big goals and accomplishments is I want you in your classrooms more. So directors and owners, if you're going to make this magic happen, we need to get you out of your offices and into the classrooms. We need you doing observations, coaching. We need you helping just facilitate your teachers learning, right? And so one of the things we've done is I've created a planner to help you guys see how we do this at Zoo and Around. We literally plan our entire year in advance. And in January 14th, and then I believe it's the 16th. So 14th live at Zoo and Around, I'm going to be training and helping you guys plan your year. Rachel's going to actually be there. We're also going to be touring Zoo and Around so you guys can see why our classrooms are set up the way they are, why we do what we do. I understand not everybody can make it out here to Nevada. So if you want to just join us for the training session, then we are more than happy to have you on the virtual. That I will be doing kind of an encore presentation on, oh my goodness, one of my team members can actually put it in the chat, but I believe it's on the 16th. It's actually on a Martin Luther King Jr. Day that I'll be training on how to use it. And of course, you can also just purchase the planner, and we will have recordings too. So you will be able to also purchase the recording. I've literally taken our process and turned it into an annual planner for everybody out there. So hopefully you guys take advantage of that, because my goal is to free your time so you can be in your classrooms more. So thank you, Rachel. Have a great rest of your day.